Imagine this. You are a queen, beautiful, powerful, and loved by a king. But there is one room in the palace, one room, that could kill you just for walking into it uninvited, even if you're the queen. And the only way to save your people is to walk through that door anyway. This is the story of Esther, a young girl who had every reason to stay silent and chose courage instead. Esther's story doesn't start in a palace. It starts with loss. Her mother and father died when she was young. She had no one, except her older cousin Mordecai, who took her in and raised her as his own daughter. They were Jewish, part of a people living as foreigners in the Persian Empire. They were not royalty. They were not powerful. They were just trying to survive. But God had a plan for Esther that she couldn't see yet. King Ahasuerus, also called King Xerxes, ruled over one of the greatest empires in the world. 127 provinces, from India to Ethiopia. He had everything. But his queen had defied him publicly, and he removed her from the throne. Now he needed a new queen, so his advisors came up with a plan. Search the entire empire for the most beautiful young women. Esther was brought in with all the others. She was young, an orphan, and she was Jewish in a foreign land. On paper, she had no advantage. But there was something about Esther that every person who met her noticed immediately. Scripture says she won the favor of everyone who saw her. Not just her appearance, but her character, her grace, and her spirit. Mordecai told her not to reveal that she was Jewish, and she listened to him, just as she always had. After 12 months of preparation, Esther was brought before the king, and he loved her more than all the others. He placed the royal crown on her head. The orphan girl became the queen, but not everyone in the palace had a good heart. There was a man named Haman, the king's most powerful official, arrogant, proud, dangerous. The king had commanded that everyone bow down to Haman when he passed. Everyone did, except one man, Mordecai. Every day, Mordecai sat at the palace gate. Every day, Haman walked by. Every day, everyone bowed. Except Mordecai. He was Jewish, who bowed only to God. Haman was furious, but destroying just one man wasn't enough for him. He found out Mordecai was Jewish and decided to destroy every single Jewish person in the entire empire. He went to the king and twisted the truth. There is a certain people scattered among your provinces who don't follow your laws. It would be in your best interest to destroy them. The king, without investigating, handed Haman his royal ring. Do with them as you see fit. Letters were sent to every province. On a specific day, every Jewish man, woman, and child in the entire empire would be killed. The city of Susa was thrown into confusion. The Jewish people tore their clothes and wept. And Mordecai sat at the palace gate in sackcloth and ash. Esther heard that Mordecai was in mourning. She sent a servant to find out what was wrong. Mordecai sent back a copy of the decree and a message that would change everything. Go to the king, beg for mercy for your people. Esther sent back a response that was honest and terrifying. Everyone knows the law. If anyone enters the king's inner court without being summoned, they are put to death, unless the king holds out his golden scepter. And the king has not called for me in 30 days. Even the queen could not walk into the king's presence uninvited. The penalty was death, no exceptions. Mordecai's response back to her is one of the most powerful lines in the entire Bible. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And then, who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? That sentence, right there. Esther had spent her whole life wondering why she, an orphan, a foreigner, a nobody, had ended up in a palace. And in that moment, it all made sense. This was why. She wasn't in the palace for the comfort. She was there for the crisis. Esther made her decision. She sent word back to Mordecai. Go and gather all the Jews in Susa. Fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days. My servants and I will do the same. And then I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And then she said something that has echoed through history for thousands of years. If I perish, I perish. She wasn't reckless. She was resolved. 3 days of fasting, 3 days of prayer, 3 days of preparation. And then Esther put on her royal robes, stood at the entrance of the inner court, and walked toward the throne. The king was sitting on his royal throne. He looked up. He saw Esther standing there. The whole room held its breath. And then the king held out his golden scepter. Esther was safe. "What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be given to you." Esther was wise. She didn't rush. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet, then another, and at the second banquet with perfect timing. She told the king the truth. "My people and I have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated." The king was furious. Who has done this? Who would dare? Esther looked across the table. The enemy is this wicked Haman. Haman trembled. The king walked out in rage. And in the end, the very gallows Haman had built to hang Mordecai were used to hang Haman instead. The king reversed the decree. The Jewish people were saved. Mordecai was honored. And Esther, the orphan girl from nowhere, had saved an entire nation. Here is the one powerful truth Esther's story teaches us. You were placed exactly where you are, for a reason you may not understand yet. Esther didn't choose to be an orphan. She didn't choose to be taken into the palace. She didn't choose the crisis that came. But she chose what to do when it arrived. She chose courage over comfort. She chose purpose over protection. She chose her people over her own safety. And that choice made by one young woman who felt completely unqualified changed the course of history. Your life is not an accident. Your position, your family, your school, your neighborhood, your story, all of it, every hard part, and every unexpected door, is preparation for something only you can do. The question Mordecai asked Esther is the same question God is asking you. Who knows whether you have not come to this place for such a time as this? For kids, maybe you feel like you're not important enough to make a difference. Maybe you feel too young, too small, too ordinary. Esther was an orphan with no power and no plan. But she had courage and she had God. That's enough. The next time you're scared to speak up, to stand up for a friend, to tell the truth, to do the right thing when it's hard, remember Esther. She was scared too. She walked through the door anyway. For teenagers, you are in a specific place right now, a school, a family, a friend group for a reason. There are people around you that only you can reach. Situations that only you are positioned to change. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing. Willing to speak when it's uncomfortable. Willing to act when it's scary. Willing to say, if I perish and trust God with the outcome. For parents, sometimes our children are placed in situations we didn't plan for them. A hard school, a difficult season, a friendship that feels like a mission field. Don't always try to remove your child from the hard place. Ask God, is this for such a time as this moment? Raise Esthers. Raise children who know they are not accidents, who know their lives have purpose, who know that God places people strategically and that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they say yes. For everyone, the reason Esther's story still moves us thousands of years later is simple. We all want our lives to mean something. We all want to know that our pain had a purpose, that the hard road we walked wasn't wasted. Esther's story says it wasn't. Wherever you are right now, however unqualified, overlooked, or afraid you feel, you are here for such a time as this. Subscribe for more Bible stories that remind you who you are and why you're here.